I believe everyone has a story to tell. And I believe everyone deserves a little pampering. Welcome to Mannies with Grannies. I'm your host, Tiffany Marino. Join me while I sit down with a woman over 70 and get to know her while giving her a manicure. Welcome to our first episode of Mannies with Grannies. Today I'm sitting with Jane Conker. Jane is my friend Brad's mom, but this is our first time meeting. She's graciously invited me into her home for this today, so I'd like to thank you, Jane, for having me here and doing this with me. So let's get started. What color do you like?
What color?
Yeah, what color do you want to have?
Pink, a light pink.
A light pink.
That one
This
there.
one here?
Next one,
This one.
I think. Mm-hmm. The
This
pink,
one here?
the pink
first
one.
Okay. So here, I'll take this hand. What kind of shape do you like your nails? Should I follow the kind of shape
whatever
that
you want to
have?
do, because I'm no shape at all.
Okay. So I heard that you had a nice fun party for your 90th birthday.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Tell me about it.
Well, I knew the kids were going to do something for my 90th, but I didn't know it was going to be that elaborate.
What did they do?
Well, I always liked Fair Week.
The Warren County Fair.
I never missed a fair for years. And the previous year, I didn't go for the first time. Too much walking. So they decided to recreate the Warren County Fair. So that was...
How
and
nice.
they had all these games. They had prizes for the kids if they won these games. They had a fortune teller. Not a real one, but it was my granddaughter played a good part there.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. And and of course they made me queen of the Warren County Fair. They gave me a beautiful crown and a sash, saying Warren County Queen.
So how does it feel to be 90?
Oh, not any different than 89, other than the year. I can't believe I lived till 90. I keep saying that. I never thought I ever would.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be 90 years old?
What did it mean to me? Oh, thankful.
Yeah.
Blessed.
When you look back over your life, what do you think was the happiest point of your life?
Having children. Having babies.
How old were you when you had your first child?
I think I was about 21, 22, something like that.
Do you remember how you felt when you found out you were pregnant?
Oh, excited. Because it took a couple of years. So it was very exciting.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a mother.
Did you get to tell your husband that you were pregnant? Was that something that you were able to surprise him with?
Well, it was no surprises. I just told him. I don't know. No big deal like they do today. I just told him. I went to the doctor probably by myself, and well, you know.
Uh-huh.
He suspected it before I went to the doctor. We both did.
Okay.
But
Do you remember, was he excited too?
oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. He was a good daddy.
What does it mean to you to be a good dad?
Very caring. He babysat from day. Well, in those days, was in the hospital for a week. Every time you had a child, you were in the hospital for at least a week. And when I came home, I just couldn't wait to get out of the house. And my parents lived about 2 or 3 miles from here. And I just couldn't wait to see them. And he would babysit every time. Newborn baby. I'd leave for about an hour. Just had to get out. It was funny.
And what would that hour mean to you?
Oh, it was great. I don't know. It was just great.
Mm-hmm.
Just
it allowed you to go out and
yeah, because after being in the hospital for a week, I was happy to be home, but I think I just wanted to see my parents because they couldn't come to the hospital to see me. And
thinking back about your parents, what do you think is one of the most important things they taught you?
Love.
How did they teach that to you?
Example.
I can see that you're getting emotional thinking about your parents. They meant a lot to you.
I'm emotional anyway. Don't give me. This won't be the first tears you'll see.
Yeah, that's okay.
My parents went through a lot. My mother came over from Yugoslavia when she was 3 years old. She came with just her mother and her. Her mother was so sick on the ship, she couldn't take care of her. So everybody on the ship took care of my mother.
Wow.
At 3 years old. And she came to this country first, and then my dad came when he was 14. He lived on a farm, and he had chickens. And he would take the eggs to market. This is in Yugoslavia, which was communist at the time. He would take the eggs to market for his dad, for my grandfather, and sell the eggs. And every time he took the eggs, he would keep out a little money for himself. I don't know if his dad knew that or not. I'm not sure. I don't think he did know it. But when he got enough money, he decided to come to America. And he was 14 at the time, coming all by himself. When he got to New York City, he talked about paying a $5 head tax. I don't know what that was all about. And then they sent these people to the coal mines around Uniontown. That's where they lived at.
Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. And, yep, and that's...
Do you know how your parents met?
Parents had boarding houses in those days. To make money, they would rent out their bedrooms to these coal miners for extra money. And my dad was, I think, renting out a house near where my mother was living. And he used to come and see my mother, but he wasn't allowed inside the gate. Their yard was fenced off.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't, but so he would come and visit her, and they'd talk over the fence.
That's cute.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of how they. And my grandmother wanted my mother to marry this other guy. They married young in those days. My mother was only 14 or 15.
Wow, when she got married, she was only 14 or 15?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
14, I think she was. And my grandmother wanted her to marry this other guy who had money. And she absolutely did not want to marry him. So my mother said to my grandmother, if you buy me a new pair of shoes, I'll marry him. So her and my grandmother went to the store, and my mother bought these high-buckled shoes. She referred to high-buckled shoes. Mm-hmm. And she said, I love those shoes. And she says, I had no intentions of marrying that guy, but it was one way of getting a new pair of shoes.
I love that.
So finally, in the end, they let him marry her. I guess my dad brought some whiskey to her dad, so that he would say yes, he could marry her. So
over a drink.
No, he just gave him the
okay.
bottle of whiskey. I guess was a gift. Like, I don't know.
Mm. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
5 brothers and 4 sisters. There were 5 of each of us. 5 girls and 5 boys. And I was the youngest. And I'm the youngest one living right now. Of course, I'm the youngest and I'm 90. So the last sibling to die was my sister, Anne, who was 97 when she died.
How does that feel to have 10 siblings?
Oh, it was wild. We never had there was never a dull moment in our house. Never a dull moment. The boys were always conniving, teasing the girls. Yeah, there was a lot of.
Did they help take care of you?
My sisters, kind of, I guess. My mother took responsibility for all of us. She didn't expect anybody to do her job. She took her job very seriously. And it was hard work, too.
Taking care of 10 kids.
Mm-hmm. And of course, when I was born, my oldest sibling was 14.
Okay.
So they were all like teenagers. And
Mm-hmm. How old were you when you met your husband?
20 on a blind date.
Who set up the blind date?
His cousin. He was just got discharged from the Air Force, and he was stationed in Japan. And when he was in the Air Force, and he was home. I don't know how long he was home from the military. And his cousin, who I knew at work, we were working at New Process at the time. She said, "I want to fix you up with this guy, with my cousin." I did not want to go on a blind date. I went on a couple blind dates before that, and they never panned out. So I never wanted to go on a blind date, but she insisted. So they came and picked me up. He wouldn't come to the door. I think he was too shy to come to the door or whatever. So she came to the house and got me, went into the car, and we went to a movie in Jamestown. And the movie was Moulin Rouge, and I thought it was the most boring movie. and he fell asleep or pretend like he was sleeping maybe during the movie. He didn't like it either, I guess. And so I thought, well, that'll be the end of that date. He'll never come back. And when he did walk me to the door, he gave me a big kiss. Yeah. That surprised the heck out of me. And I said, that's the best kiss I ever had from a boy. I just thought it was wonderful. And I thought still, he was working in Buffalo at the time, and I thought he'll still never call me. I just didn't think it would go any farther. And so he didn't even call me. But this next weekend he came to see me. Mm-hmm. Just came, surprised me, mm-hmm. And we started dating. And he was planning on bringing this girl over. He had a girlfriend in Japan, a Japanese girlfriend. He was planning on bringing her over here. So he said, don't get serious because I'm going to bring this girl over. Don't get serious. So we dated, not getting serious or anything. Anyway, he was falling for me, I think, faster than I was falling for him.
How about that?
Well, I was trying not to, react.
Uh-huh.
And
you were keeping yourself guarded.
Yep, I was guarded. And finally, he told me he loved me. And I said, well, what about this girl? And he says, well, I'm just going to write her a letter, they called it a Dear John letter. Mm-hmm. So I says, I want to see that letter, and I want to see her response before I made up my mind. So he showed me the letter that she wrote him, and I don't think she had any intentions of coming to this country. I read between the lines. She wasn't shocked or anything. And so anyway, so that was it. We were engaged probably in 4 months, I think it was. We were engaged. Uh-huh. And it was in those days, engagement, the guy just handed you a ring and that was it. Mm-hmm. Well, we were coming down Yankee Bush Road by the farm up here. He said, there's something for you in the glove compartment. So I reached in the glove compartment, and there was that ring. And I couldn't believe it. I screamed. So I knew he was serious then. So, of course, we had to tell everybody about being engaged.
Did they put it in the newspaper?
I think so. They always put the engagements in the newspaper.
So back then, what was planning a wedding like?
Not like today. You didn't spend thousands of dollars. You're lucky to spend $100, I think. All the girls in my family got married at home. The reception was at home. They got married in a church. There was a small church in Irvine that we were married in.
What year were you married?
1954.
Were you working at the time?
Yes, I was working at New Process. Mm-hmm.
What did you do there? What is New Process?
The Blair Corporation today. It was New Process then, mail orders, filing, and things like that.
Thinking back to when you were a newlywed, what was life like for you then?
Oh, I was just happy as could be, My dad said to my mother, she says, let her live here, because we didn't have a place to live at the time.
Mm.
Let her live at home here. And my mother said, no way. Even if you live she told all of us girls, even if you live in a shack, you get out, get a place of your own. Because she said she lived with her mother and it was no picnic. So that's what she used to tell us. So we had an apartment on Pennsylvania Avenue. By the way, he was unemployed at the time when we got married. He was laid off.
Was that hard?
I don't know. We didn't worry about it. I said if my kids would do that, I'd have a fit. But we didn't worry about the money. I guess I made enough money to pay for the rent, and that's all that mattered, the rent and the bills. And he had a few part-time jobs. And then finally he got into the National Forge where my dad worked. Three of my brothers worked there too. It was the factory which is now Elwood.
Okay.
Mm.
Thinking back over different jobs that you had, is there a favorite job that you did? Did you have many jobs?
Not many, no. I decorated cakes. I was a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be home till my kids graduated. I just was that type of mother, you know.
How many kids did you have?
4.
What are their names?
Brent, you know Brent?
Mm-hmm.
Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Brent and Kim. Kim was next in line. Then Brad, or Lisa, then Brad.
Who's your favorite?
All of them.
I'm just kidding.
They always said they always tell everybody that I'm her favorite.
Yeah. So you have how many grandkids?
11 grandchildren and got 13 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to be a great-grandmother?
Oh, wonderful. I love those babies.
What's the difference between being a mother and a grandmother?
Well, a mother, you have more responsibilities. And when you're a grandmother, you spoil the kids and send them home.
What's your favorite part about being a great-grandmother?
Oh, the love. Unconditional love.
So we are in your house right now. How long have you lived in this home?
We built this house in, 1959 or 60.
And you raised all your kids here?
No, we had 2 kids before we built this house. We bought a house in Starbrook. We were married about a year. We bought a house in Starbrook at the corner of Preston Road
Mm-hmm.
in Pennsylvania Avenue. And we lived there for about 4 years. And then we decided we didn't want to live next to the highway like that with the children. So we were thinking about selling our house. In the meantime, somebody called and heard that our house was for sale and they wanted to buy it. So we lived in my in-laws' house. It was empty. It was in Barnes. We lived there for about a year while we were building this house.
When you moved into this house, how did that feel?
Oh, great. We moved in Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to be in for Christmas. We dug the basement on Good Friday and moved in Christmas Eve. My husband worked hard and fast, I'll tell you. And I helped him. I was pounding nails and doing everything.
Wow. So do you think that because you built the house by hand, do you think that added to the amount of love you felt in the house?
Oh, I don't think so. No, I think it's no matter where you're at. Depends on who you're with. I mean, it was a lot of pride. My husband had a lot of pride at this house. He said, I built this house when I was 26 years old. You didn't know anything about building. You just learned as you went along. And at that time, there were 8 houses going up on this road, on the Acrebush Road. Everybody was building.
That first Christmas when you were here, do you remember if you put up a Christmas tree?
Oh, we definitely had a Christmas tree. We didn't have any furniture, but we had a Christmas tree. Yes. And Lisa was born a year after we moved into this house.
What was it like raising a family in Warren?
Oh, you can't beat this area. When we built this house, we had a lot of neighbors were building houses. Everybody had little children. And the bus line, we had about 15 kids in the bus line. They'd make one stop out front here. And the kids had a wonderful memories growing up because they always had someone to play with. They'd go out in the morning to see who was out playing, and they'd be outside all day. And they still talk about that. I know all the fun that they had with the neighbors' kids, and everybody was in the same boat. Well, we lived from payday to payday, too. I mean, that was just the way it was. We managed. And after the kids grew up a little bit, I babysat for extra money. I babysat for about 5 years, I think. 4 the little kids. Then after that, when one of the mothers of the kids I was babysitting came in with a birthday cake for me that she had made. And she took cake decorating lessons. And I was so impressed that I took cake decorating lessons. So I started decorating cakes. So I did wedding cakes, birthday, and everything for, I think, about 30 years. That was my hobby. It was a hobby and a job, too. Mm-hmm. Some weekends I'd have 3 and 4 weddings and a lot of cakes.
Is there a reason why you stopped doing it?
It just got to be too much. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, I'm going to get a job driving a van for school kids. So I got a job driving a van. And my boss said, have you ever thought about driving a school bus? And I said, oh, no, I can't do that. He said, well, I'll take you out and just give it a try. I said, okay, I will. So I drove a school bus with him sitting beside me. And I thought, oh, this is kind of fun. So anyway, I became a school bus driver.
You liked it?
I loved it, yeah. I did that for about 11 years. I drove one load of Beatty kids. I took them to school, then I'd go back. This is Pleasant Township was my route. Go back to the elementary kids.
Were the kids typically well behaved?
Well, some of them were. They weren't too bad. I had a way about them. I treated them well. During training, they said, just remember, you might be the first adult they see in the morning, because some of them, their parents don't bother getting up for them. Mm. So I made sure I spoke to all the kids when they got on the bus every morning, no matter if they were good or bad, you know. And the Beatty kids gave me a little bit of trouble, but I had to write them up and hand the paper to the principal of Beatty, so I didn't have to discipline them. They did the disciplining.
Okay.
So they never knew if they were going to get caught or not. So I taught them to kind of watch it. But I enjoyed them.
Thinking back over your life, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything that I think whatever I did made me the way I am today, good or bad.
You've lived 90 years, so you've obviously had to deal with grief.
Oh, yeah.
And loss. Mm-hmm. At 90 years old, what are your thoughts on losing people?
Well, the first real grief I had was my sister. She was 40 years old, and she died in a car accident. Left 4 children. That was a hard thing to do. It took me a long time to get over that.
How old were you?
I already was married and had 4 children. Because I would take 2 of her kids, give her husband a break on weekends. My sister lived next door here. She would take a couple of the kids, and I would take a couple, like for a weekend or whatever. We kind of helped take care of those kids. Leaving those kids was a big deal. And of course, losing each. And I had another sister that died when she was 60. That was hard, too. but not as hard as the one that left the children.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the biggest grief is losing my husband. That was, it's been 2.5 years ago.
That's recent.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The thing that helped me the most when he was having chemo was writing in a journal my feelings, how I felt.
Did you ever go back and review what you wrote?
Oh, yes. I still write in my journal. If I have a bad day, I'll write in it. It's like writing to him. Sometimes I'm writing to him. Sometimes it's just for myself, But it makes me feel better. I think it really helps with grieving. Hospice wanted me to know if I needed help, in the grieving process. They're so good. I just wanted to handle it myself. That's the way I handled it. And of course, the kids. I have the 4 best kids in the world.
They're pretty great.
They are great. They're so caring. All 4 of them are so caring in their own way,
What makes them such great kids? How do they show you that they care?
Checking on me, stopping in, the laughter, the jokes about their dad, things that he did, that they repeat. Yeah.
If you could impart wisdom on younger people, what would you want them to know about getting older?
Just be kind. Just be kind. And have a lot of love in your heart for everybody. Nobody's exactly alike. I have 4 kids, but I love them all the same. They were 4 different personalities, completely different. But treat them all the same.
What do you think your greatest accomplishment is?
Having 4 kids and raising 4 wonderful kids. Not an easy thing to do sometimes. Everybody talks about the teenage years. I don't know. I didn't have any trouble with the teenage years. They were all pretty good kids. Not perfect, but good.
Do you have any parenting advice you can give?
Just hang on. If you're a good person and show it, your kids are going to follow in your footsteps. I tried to be good.
What does being a good person mean to you? What does that look like?
Appreciate what you have. Appreciate other people. Don't think you're better than anyone else,
Mm-hmm. So at 90 years old, even though we don't like to think about this, you're getting close to the end of your life, right?
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
How do you want to be remembered?
Just being a good person. I think I have been a good person. I try to be. Try to help people that less fortunate.
Do you have a favorite story to tell about yourself?
About myself?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, growing up, there were a lot of stories.
Share one with me.
Well, I rode an old workhorse to get the mail every day. This old horse would hardly move, but it was fun to ride that horse up to get the mail. It was all uphill. I lived on Scott Run Road, Upper Scott Run Road. That was one of the things. I was always a tomboy, outside all the time, playing. I used to climb trees, loved sitting up in the apple tree and eating apples.
Did you always live in this area?
Yes. I was born and raised on Scott Run, about a quarter of a mile from the top of the hill, a farm my dad bought.
Did you ever think about leaving the Warren area?
No. I'm not very worldly. My husband and I did a lot of traveling, but just in the United States. California was a big deal. And then we drove to Alaska one time, and that was wonderful. We had a van. We fixed up a van to sleep in it and everything, and we drove to Alaska.
When was that?
I was about 65 at the time. My husband was a couple of years older. And we talked about going to Alaska, and then he had a friend that worked with him that went to Alaska several times and kind of encouraged him. So we just took off and went to Alaska. It was neat.
With the kids?
Nope.
Just the two?
The kids were working, and they were all still at home, I think.
What was your favorite part of that trip?
Coming home. No, it was neat. Alaska was neat and everything, but we were so happy to hit the United States. Of course, we went through Canada when I say United States. And we just got stopped at so many stops, checkpoints, because we were going back and forth between Canada and Alaska. And
you were just happy to get back home.
Happy to get back home and same old routine. Yep.
If you could sum your life up in one sentence, what would that be?
I've had a wonderful life. I have no regrets other than losing my husband. That was the big thing. And by the way, this wedding ring was the ring.
It's beautiful.
When we got married, that was the ring I put on his finger. And it was getting too small for him. So it was around our 25th wedding anniversary, I think it was. I bought him a new wedding band, and I said, I want his wedding band attached to my ring.
So you had them
soldered together. My wedding band was getting real skinny. It was a thin wedding band. So I needed a new wedding band. I thought, I'll just take his wedding band. So
that's beautiful.
So that makes me, reminds me of him all the time. But that was the original engagement ring, but it's been redone, I think I lost a little diamond on the side at one time. But other than that.
That's nice.
This was he surprised me on our 25th wedding anniversary and got me this.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Do you want a little sticker on your nails for decoration, or do you like them just plain?
Maybe one sticker.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find.
Sure. So, 90 years old. Do you have any goals?
Any goals?
Yeah, anything that you're working toward in life?
I enjoy my few friends I have left. And
what do you like to do with your friends?
We would go for lunch once a week.
Uh-huh.
That's about it. Yeah, and I have a friend who's not well right now, so I'm going to make her some cookies or something and take up to her.
Oh, that's nice.
But
do you have any hopes for the rest of your life?
I'll just be my normal self. We have Sunday dinner. Every Sunday we have Sunday dinner, and all the kids come. Whoever can brings a tureen. We have dinner every Sunday at 5. So if you're hungry on Sundays at 5 o'clock.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds great. Which butterfly was it that you liked?
The one that's flying.
Okay. Which finger? We'll put it on this one. That one's got a little messed up. We'll put it on top of the messed up
There, you
part.
can hide it.
So we're coming to the end of our manicure. And I want to say thank you so much for talking with me today. This was really nice. It was really nice getting to know you. And I hope you had fun too.
Oh, I did.
Thank you for listening to Manny's with Grannies. I hope you enjoyed learning about someone else and maybe even learned a little about yourself.